the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EADC Racing Rage Kokomo Clash for one of the very interesting rounds of the ODSE 360 Power Series. My name is Cameron Darts, and joining me in the director's booth and also in the comms box is Scott Fountain. And welcome, Fonty, to Kokomo.
Yes, hello everybody. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, coming to you from New Zealand. Kokomo, interesting little speedway. Certainly a short little track, but we should see some great racing today.
Yeah, certainly. The quarter mile oval in Kokomo has put on some pretty fantastic racing. One of the tougher tracks we're going to be going to on the schedule, probably up there with the likes of February, but nevertheless, it does put on some really, really good racing. And looking forward to it tonight. Been some interesting things so far this season with different rivalries and different incidents. And so far, Joel Brickley's put himself straight at the top of the timesheet.
Yeah, there we go. Joel's a great operator when it comes to anything dirt racing and also circuit racing as well. But yeah, certainly a competitive guy and was certainly in the hunt last week, so he will certainly be there today. Bob King, we can't certainly put him down. One of these series organisers, great on the dirt stuff, and I reckon he's going to be pretty fast tonight.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Bob had with plenty of experience and also helping out the team at ODSE with the running of this show as well. So good to see Bob out there and up the pointy end of the field as well. Majority of the field has set their laps, I believe, with a couple of drivers yet to do a lap. Obviously, a very, very short circuit, quarter mile. So lap times do go by very, very quickly here. And you can just see also Tim Ryan just starting his 2 qualifying laps, coming it through turn 1 and 2, right up against the outside fence, and through turn 2 as well, running that high line, try and build a bit of momentum on his first lap to get a good run through the second lap. Goes to the near end of the field, P6 at the moment. So we'll see what he can do in his second lap. Low line through turns 3 and 4.
Oh, there we go, straight to the top. Great lap there, very aggressive on the turn in on both of those corners. Fantastic lap there, and absolutely nothing between himself and Joel Berkeley. David Hallerman not far back either. So yeah, certainly going to be pretty tight here, I reckon. Can't remember which track this was. Was this the 4th track in the dirt to come to iRacing, Cam?
If memory serves me correct, I believe it was, but I could be wrong. I can't quite remember, but it's been one of the later additions to the sim, and I've also just seen Vince Romeo put down his 2 times. So looks like everybody has indeed done their times by the looks of it. So that is the field, and by the looks of it, Tim Ryan and Joel Berkeley right at the front, and going to be quite the battle tonight.
Yeah, certainly going to be a great battle. I absolutely love this sprint car racing. Not in the big 410s tonight, in the 360s, but still plenty of fun. So we will see heat racing tonight, and then I'm not too sure how many finals we're going to have, but last week, what did we start on? Final E, right down to A, and it was a 40-lap feature. So plenty of great racing ahead for us tonight.
Yeah, there certainly is, especially with all the big names in here, and everybody has had plenty of time to get an idea of what to expect in terms of racecraft. So should be quite interesting to see what happens. Top 4 invert as well for the heats, and heat 1 is gridding up at the moment as we speak. So starting on the front row will be Callum Davidson and Ethan Bastian, followed by Bob King and your poleman Tim Ryan. Danny Vassell starting at a P5 with Hayden Veld in P6. Brad O'Brien and Nathan Norman in 7th and 8th. And then back to just the rest of the field. John Schultz in 9th, Dylan DeBono in 10th, 11th, Daniel Gower, and rounding out the field, Lockie Beattie.
There we go. Great bunch of competition there for this first heat. I reckon it's going to be pretty close between Bob King and Tim Ryan. Really nothing in it between those guys in the qualifying there. We will see the track get plenty slick tonight. There'll be plenty of rubber laid down, hard to get traction, and I reckon we'll be running a pretty high line come the end of the night.
Yeah, we certainly will. You can already see also just on the bottom of the shot there that the outside of the track down the back straight is actually starting to take a little bit of moisture out of the track. So really is going to start to get quite interesting down the front and back straight away. And back straight's not exactly straight, so it's going to make it that little bit more difficult, as well as with the fact that there is that opening in the fence. So what drivers are really going to have to be careful when the track does start to take rubber and slick up quite severely with that outside wall.
Yeah, you're certainly right. Yeah, very difficult speedway to drive. I've driven on this a couple of times, not in the 360, mainly in the 410, but yeah, getting within millimetres of that wall, and we'll see plenty of action unfolding. Not a lot of room for error here. These guys are coasting around on their warm-up lap. We're going to get it underway very soon. Here we go. Green flag flies. Into turn 1 we go. Tim Ryan hanging it out there nicely, getting nice and close to the wall. Also seeing Bob King get right up there. He is on the outside, 3 wide, using that high line to their advantage. Can they get the drive down? Yes, that certainly looks like the line to go at the moment is that high line. Tim Ryan coming through there. Oh, gets cut off there on his nose. Tim Ryan goes fastest in that lap. Bob King currently leads the race.
Yeah, certainly a big battle for the lead at the moment between Ethan Basher and Bob King. Tim Ryan, mixture of different lines. The top two are in the top line at the moment. Tim Ryan trying to make that bottom line work, and it seems to be working just a bit through the mid corner, but loses out quite a bit on the exit. Danny Vassell running up on that high line now to join the top two to try and find a way past Tim Ryan, but just can't quite get there. And Bob King with a big slide job on Ethan Basher, but can't pull it off. That'll allow Tim Ryan to try for a big slide job into turns 1 and 2 and straight up into P2 as Tim Ryan, but Bob King is going to come back up the inside into turn 3, and Tim Ryan.
Big moment there. He's collected the inside tyre barrier, so he will get away with that. Doesn't look like there's any damage. He was lucky there, but certainly dropped off a position. Are we going to see him be able to catch up? Very short races, 8 laps. Final lap happening now.
And it looks like Bob King's not quite going to make it and come up short, and Ethan Bashan will take the win, only just crossed the line, followed by Tim Ryan in third. Top 3 go through to the feature, so Danny Vass will just miss out on the feature transfer, but nevertheless, everybody going to have to get their work cut out for them. Heat 2 is gridding up, and on the front row will be Harry Stewart and Jordan Charge. Row 2, Mitchell G and Joel Berkeley. James Rice and Damon Mulqueen on row number 3. Row 4, Dale Jordison and Kyron Redpath, and rounding out the top 10, Travis Castagna and Devin Butts, and rounding out the field at Hayden McKenzie and Jay Howell.
Yeah, this should be a great race as well. Fantastic drive there before that race. A little bit gutted for Tim Ryan. He was certainly looking like he was on a charge. Just threw it in that bit too early, and you can almost tell that he would have known he was going straight for that tyre and managed to just collect it. So a little bit gutted for him, but he has managed to get through.
Yeah, he certainly has. And it is one of the challenges of Kokoma as well as those inside tyres. Is obviously when you do throw big sliders like Tim and Bob were earlier on, it is very, very easy to clip those inside tyres. So we'll have to make sure the drivers don't actually hit those. And it is somewhat similar to the likes of the track we were just at not too long ago, February, where there are tyres on the inside that you don't really want to be hitting, but we'll see how this race goes. Everybody starting to get themselves formed up and 1 to green.
There we go. Who's going to get the jump here? Got a few good guys in the field. Hard to pick a winner on this one. Joel Berkeley is always very fast. Green flag flies. Oh, good jump there from Berkeley. He's going to go middle track into turn 1. Can he get the grip down? He's going to go high. Oh, close battling at this track. Absolutely love the racing. Oh, a little bit of argy-bargy action there. Michael G and Joel Berkeley, James Rice hanging in there as well. Harry Stewart goes fastest on lap 1.
Yeah, Harry doing a fantastic job running the top side at the moment, right up against the outside wall. The same with Joel Berkeley and John Charge not too far behind in that third position, coming under pressure from Mitchell G. And Dale Jordison also not too far behind, coming under pressure from James Rice and the likes of those behind. But nevertheless, really now a lot of pressure from Mitchell G on John Charge for this final transfer spot. See Charge running that top side, but G trying to make that midline work, which seems to just be working a little bit enough, but not quite on the exit. A little bit of momentum lost there. Mitchell G in turns 1 and 2. And Joel Berkeley having half a spin as well by the looks of it in turns 3 and 4, but everybody seems to have sorted themselves out.
Yep, fantastic start. Surprised we haven't seen any cars really coming together as of yet. Last week we saw plenty of action. Final lap now.
I've also just seen that Mitchell G's had something happen. I'm not sure what's happened there, whether he's hit the wall or he's had it coming together actually with Joe Jordison in turns 1 and 2, so he's lost out massively, but your race winner will indeed be Harry Stewart, followed by Joel Berkeley and Jordan Charge, running out the final A-main transferees. But another great race, and Heat 3 is already up. This is absolutely flying by. Aston Hurley and Trent Gosley will be on row 1. Row 2, Jock Goodyear and David Heilemann. Row 3, Damien Rasmussen and Gavin Sadler. Row 4, Vince Romeo and Carl Hoffmans. Row 5, Corey Steinhauser and Cruz McVeigh. And rounding out the field, Sean Wilson.
There we go. So, race is flying by here. Such a short little track. Reminds me a lot of our local track here, Cam, Western Springs Speedway. Not quite as aggressive as that track, but certainly very similar.
Yeah, well, similar lengths, both a quarter mile, if I'm not mistaken. So really is quite similar in terms of length and speed. Probably Kokoma a little bit quicker just based on the layout of the track just being a slightly more compact and slightly more curved. But nevertheless, puts on both fantastic racing every single time out.
Yeah, I certainly do hope that we do get the Western Springs Speedway scanned to the iRacing service at some time. Always new content coming into iRacing. I remember when the dirt was released, it was a big moment for iRacing, and we've seen plenty of awesome racing as we see the pace truck pull in. We are going to go green once they get around this corner here. Who's going to get the jump? Trent Gosley going to be able to get it done. There we go. Green flag flies, and good jump there from Gosley. He's going to go wide. Got one of the cars coming up there on the inside. Goodyear. Oh, a little bit of a...
big shunt.
Oh, big shunt there for Goodyear. He'll be absolutely gutted. David Halleman, he's into it as well. And we've got another car around there in the background.
Gavin Sadler, by the looks of it, in turns 1 and 2. Just looking at the wall.
Yeah, very easy to do, especially when the track's on such a limit that it is. Plenty of rubber starting to go down there. Looking how close those guys are running to that wall.
Yeah, you can just see that Gosley's really trying to make that high line work, but Heilemann on the bottom side really making it work as well, with the fact that you can see there is starting to be a bit of slick and a bit of moisture taken out of that bottom side, and Heilemann clipping the inside tyres and losing the front end nearly, but very lucky to get away with that. Hurley coming under pressure from Damien Rasmussen behind as well. They've got Kyle Hoffman's not too far behind. This final transfer spot really heating up. 2 to go this time by, so Aston Hurley's really going to have to get a bit of a shuffle on, and David Heilemann's also managed to get by Trent Gosley for the lead of the race. So Heilemann leads this race with 2 to go now, and Aston Hurley's starting to have a little bit more of a comfortable gap back to the car of Damien Rasmussen, and Heilemann really making that bomb side work now.
Yep, certainly is. Final lap of the race. Halleman doing a fantastic job there. And from Slick Sim Sports, running super close to the wall there. Final corner. There we go. So, great result there for those guys. Next race is up. Another 8 laps here. Off the starting grid, Bradley Oldfield, Ryan Harris in P2, Jacob Dixon in P number 3, Caden Brown 4th, Brenton Hobson in 5th, Zachary Phelan 6th, Thomas Mitchell 7th, Bradley Sanders 8th, Zach Howell in 9th, Josh Arm in 10th, and last of the field, just Matt Reed there sitting in 11th.
Yeah, so pretty competitive field in this one with the likes of Oldfield, Harris, Hobson, Fallon, the likes of all really going to be making this one quite interesting, especially with the fact that the likes of Bradley Sanders and Josh Matt Reed and those are a little bit more down the order compared to where they normally would. So will be a good chance for Bradley Oldfield to try and build a bit of a gap and get a solid result here. And the same for Ryan Harris, who seems to have had a bit of a struggle in these past few rounds, but nevertheless has soldiered on to try and get something out of it.
Yes, you're certainly right. I think Brendan Hobson will certainly be one man to watch out for in this race. Loves his iRacing stuff, does Brenton. Big supporter of him here at Sim Speed. And green flag flies. Who's going to get the jump into turn number 1? Good start there from Ryan Harris. He's chosen to go the high line and he's going to get the run at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is, but that car at the front of Caden Brown using that bottom side, they're going to be 3 wide down the front straight, and he's going to try the inside but clips the tyres. Ends up losing the back end, so it'll be a battle between Bradley Oldfield, Ryan Harris and Zachary Fallon, who's had a great start from P6 to get up into P3 at the moment. Battle on the bottom side of the racetrack, though. Jacob Dixon and Caden Brown trying to make it work, but not quite going to happen. Ryan Harris also trying the bottom side of the racetrack, sitting in P2, but that mid line at the moment, Oldfield is running, really making it work. And Zach Fallon using a slightly different line, mid in 3 and 4, and then a slider in 1 and 2, really making it work. And it's going to drive around the outside of Ryan Harris here, and also the car of Brenton Hobson getting involved as well as Caden Brown. It's a real massive fight here. 4 odd cars, and Ryan Harris making contact into the wall. It's 3 wide down the front straight, 3 laps to go. It's all going off here for this final transfer spot.
There we go, it's on for young and old. Great track. These cars can take a bit of a hit into the wall. You can generally put them in pretty hard, rub tyre to tyre, and you get away with it to a certain point. Great racing here. Oldfield done a fantastic job. He's got a decent gap now. Side-by-side action between Phelan and Brown. Who's going to get it? Phelan in the wall. There we go. They've come together, and a big accident here.
Yeah, just as well. It was the end of the race for Phelan and managed to just hold on to that P2 across the line despite the contact. So it'll be Oldfield, Phelan and Brown who will go through to the feature. And Hobson actually made up a position on that last lap as well by the looks of it. So very lucky for him. And that is our heats out of the way. 4 heats all done and dusted, and now we move into the D main with Dylan Tabono and Kyan Redpath starting on the front row of this. Jock Goodyear starting in P3 after that moment with Vince Romeo in his heat. So we'll have a bit of work cut out for him here, especially with the fact that the top 2 do go through to the C main, but shouldn't have too much trouble getting on through. Lockie Beatty and Damon Mulqueen in 5th and 6th. Vince Romeo and Zach Howell just behind in 7th and 8th, and rounding out the field, Daniel Gow and Hayden Candy.
There we go. So heat races are done. Fantastic show that those guys put on there for us. Who's your pick for this one there, Cam?
Well, it's probably going to be a bit biased, I have to admit. But it's, you can't not look past Jock Goodyear. Very, very quick drivers. Had plenty of pace in the past few rounds. Even got a 1-2 finish at one of the previous rounds. Before, I believe that was Eldora, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, very, very quick driver and just showing plenty of pace in the World of Outlaw Invitational races in the last few weeks as well. So really looking forward to seeing what Jock can do here. Should be able to get through and win this one reasonably easily, but it's going to be a battle of who's going to get second, because so many drivers who could possibly get this final transfer spot. Pace car is off, green flag is in the air, and we are racing in a pretty decent start there by the car of Jock Goodyear, straight up the inside and straight to the lead of this race. But Dylan DeBono is going to try and come back up the inside, going to run the low line, low to mid, and not quite going to have the traction. And Jock Goodyear's just going to beat him out of the corner, but he's going to have the car of Kyron Redpath all over the back end. Is Dylan DeBono for this final transfer spot. Car in the background going over, that was Matt Reid into the wall, and they're all scrapping further back.
There we go, fantastic start. Goodyear certainly got a good jump there. And, oh, we've had a couple of cars there come together in the background. It was Redpath was involved in that, so he was running P3. Now he's sitting way back, second to last.
Yeah, he's dropped quite a few places with that incident. 4 cars involved. Dylan DeBono, I believe, was possibly, no, it wasn't. It was actually Damon Mulqueen, Daniel Gow, Kyron Redpath, all involved in that little kerfuffle earlier on. But nevertheless, Jock Goodyear making very good headway, and same with Dylan DeBono. Lockie Beattie coming under pressure though from Vince Romeo, and Damon Mulqueen starting to try a recovery drive here, try and find a way past Daniel Gow for 6th position. Gow touching the tyres on the way into turn 3, and Mulqueen's going to try around the outside into turns 1 and 2, but not quite going to get the job done at the moment, but is only just going to be edging out for the time being. Not many laps to go this time, by 3 to go in this 10-lap D main, and that's a car around Vince Romeo into the in-stoke field.
Oh, absolutely gutted for him. Not the way that you want to end your night.
Yeah, certainly not. But Mulqueen now up into what is P number 4 after Vince Romeo's unfortunate moment there. And going to be under pressure from the car of Daniel Gow, but not quite going to be able to get it done. But Jock Goodyear will indeed win this D main and progress on through to the C main. And Dylan DeBono's second will progress through to the C main. Unfortunately, Lockie Beattie, Damon Mulqueen, Kyron Redpath, Daniel Gow, Hayden Candy, Zach Howell, Vince Romeo, and Matt Reid, all unfortunately having their night finished early, but nevertheless, a very solid race from Jock Goodyear and in the midfield as well. The C main up next with 12 laps, and the top 2 go through to the B main. Jay Howell and Cruz McVie on the front row. Row 2, Jacob Dixon and Nathan Norman. Row 3, Dale Jordison and Sean Wilson. Row 4, Josh Harm and John Schultz. Devin Butts and Gavin Sadler in 9th and 10th, rounding out the top 10. Bradley Sanders and Jock Goodyear round out the field with Dylan DeBono.
There we go. So, fantastic race we saw just then. This is going to be an even better one. Plenty of action on that last one.
Yeah, it certainly was. There was plenty going on. A few different incidents as well, with various drivers tripping over each other, especially catching that inside tyre, trying to run right up on the bottom side of the racetrack. And the interesting thing about this bottom side of this racetrack is it actually does flatten out quite a bit compared to the mid and upward towards the wall, where it does start to get progressively more and more banked. So it is one of those things that does make a slide job just that little bit more trickier, but also a lot easier to commit to. So we'll see what happens in this race, and if anybody does fall victim to those inside tractor tyres. Pace car is indeed off, green flag is in the air, and we are underway. A good start there from the pole sitter of Jay Howell, and Cruz McVie putting pressure on, but that is going to be
there we go.
Jay Howell's around.
Oh wow, plenty of cars going around here. He was very unlucky there. Was Howell, got tagged. There was a bit of a passenger at that point. Nathan Norman just jumping in there.
Yeah,
Josh Arms sitting back there in P number 2.
Yeah, great drive by Harmony. End up getting inside the top 2 at the moment, so he is in the final transfer spot, but has been a few incidents in these last few laps. Jock Goodyear being claimed in one of them as well, so not the most ideal night, and his night is going to finish early, but there is a battle going on, and Dylan DeBono making contact. A huge incident between Gavin Sadler and Sean Wilson in turn 1. So not the most ideal start for a number of these drivers, or in fact, C main, sorry. So really is been a race of attrition for a number of drivers. And currently, Josh Harm does indeed lead this one. So Harmy with a solid run in the C main so far from 7th on the grid halfway through this race now, and a number of cars on pit lane.
Yep, great race there for Josh. Jock Goodyear, very unlucky for his night tonight. He was very fast in previous races. Same for Gavin Sadler as well. We haven't seen Gavin had too much luck over the past few weeks. Seems to be that trouble finds him a lot of the time. But we see focus on Josh Arm here, leading the race from P number 7, 3 laps to go. Nathan Norman sitting back there in P number 2. Field's certainly splitting right apart now. Cruz McVeigh, he's hunting down Nathan Norman. Can he get it done? I think he's going to run out of laps unless Norman makes a mistake. Track getting a lot of rubber down, getting very slick at the later stages of the event. Final lap of the race. Josh Arm is going to take it.
Yeah, very, very solid run there from Josh Harm. Take out the C main, and Nathan Norman will hold on for the final transfer spot over Cruz McVeigh to round out the podium. Bradley Sanders finishing 4th, followed by Dylan DeBono in 5th. And your final finisher of the race, actually, Sean Wilson in 6th. So rest of the field all running into issues and ending up DNFing this one. So they're not ending much earlier than at the end of the race, unfortunately. But on to the B main, 14 laps. And this is where it counts for those who have done the alphabet soup and made their way on through. Top 8 will go through to the feature. Front row will be filled in with Danny Vassell and Mitchell G. Damien Rasmussen and Brenton Hobson on row 2. Row 3, Callum Davidson and James Rice. Row 4, Carl Hoffmans and Ryan Harris. Row 5, Hayden Veld and Travis Castagne, followed by Corey Steinhauser and Thomas Mitchell on row 6. Brad O'Brien and Josh Harm and Nathan Norman all round out the field.
Yes, there we go. So 15 cars are going to be facing the starter for this race. A few more laps this time. Should see some great battles throughout the field, some great drivers. Danny Vassell in a great position, starting off P1.
Yeah, certainly this should be quite the B main to see who does go on through, and top 8 do go through to the A main. So a lot less pressure for those starting down the order who have transferred through from the B, and also a lot less pressure for everybody else as well. Currently, Ryan Harris will be sitting on the bubble off the start, but nevertheless, plenty of drivers who could stand a chance on it going through. Pace car is off and the green flag is in the air, and we are underway with this race. Good jump by the two front at the front end. Currently, Damien Rasmussen.
Oh, big crash there. There we go. We got cars off in the background, and we don't have yellows in these shorter races, but we will see yellows in the feature. 40 laps, and a great start there for Mitchell G.
Yeah, great start by Mitchell G to end up avoiding all the contact and sorts of incidents going on. James Rice now up into P2, running hard up against the outside wall, right up on that cushion with the other car of Brenton Hobson, his teammate, running in there as well to try and make it into the top 3. All running really, really high, but a couple of drivers, Mitchell G and a few others, running in that mid-track, try and see if they can keep a bit of momentum in the car underneath them. But that high side really coming into its own at the moment, with plenty of pace and plenty of loose dirt up there to make things a little bit more exciting. But currently further back for that bubble transfer spot towards the A main. Josh Harm making a move on it. Callum Davidson for 6th position, and Damien Rasmussen currently on the bubbles of the top 8, all within their own little group at the moment, and then the rest of them in their own little group, not too far back, but nevertheless really a lot of scrapping going on at the moment for this top 5 position.
Oh,
bit of contact.
Big contact there with Josh Arm. He absolutely threw it in there underneath. Who was that? Callum Davison. He got moved out of the way very quickly. Running that low line is Davison. Going to the low side as well.
Yeah, you can certainly see different drivers trying to make different lines work, especially with the way that this track is starting to take shape in terms of where it is slick and where it isn't. And currently, the front two really heating up this battle for the lead at the moment. James Rice really trying to make that top side work as best as he possibly can. And then just behind, Brenton Hobson coming under pressure from Carl Hoffmans, who's also got Ryan Harris all over his back end as Ryan Harris goes to the top side, not quite going to get the job done. And big accident on the front straight.
Big accident there. That was Hobson, had absolutely nowhere to go. He's going to continue on. Josh Arm has moved up into P3 after all of that commotion. He's still continuing to run that low line.
Yeah, the low line seems to have a bit of pace at the moment, especially with the way that this top side has started to blow off a little bit with how much people have it been running it. And Ryan Harris also up in the P3 at the moment with Josh Harmer's teammate not too far behind in P4 with a bit of pressure from Carl Hoffmans from behind. So really solid night for the slick sim sport guys of Josh Harmer and Ryan Harris. But Mitchell G has indeed taken out the B main over James Rice, and Ryan Harris and Josh Harm will finish third and fourth, with the rest of your transferees being the cars of Carl Hoffman, Colin Davison, Brenton Hobson, and Damien Rasmussen. So those are the transferees from the B main, but we now do have a pole shootout, the first pole shootout we've seen of the night of the series so far. We've seen pole shuffles, we've seen pole duels, but first time we've seen this sort of format. So we'll run it through real quick. It's sort pretty much the same as what you see with supercars at the likes of Bathurst and all those sort of rounds where they've got shootouts. So top 10 from the heats will get 2 laps to try and set. Well, 1 lap to try and set as quick as possible of time. Zach Fallon will be the first one on track to see if he can lay the gauntlet down and set a baseline time for everybody here in this shootout session. Running a different line compared to everybody else, running more in the mid track, setting a 12.5, and that his run done. Trent Gosley is up next. So Zach Fallon, the man to beat at the moment with a 12.599. In his lap. Trent Gosley using that high side to build a bit of momentum to try and see if he can get a bit of speed out of this car. Running the top side as well through 1 and 2 on his lap. A little bit different to what Zach Fallon was doing in top through 3 and 4 as well. What will the lap time be as he comes across the line? It'll be a 12.183. So Gosley straight to the top, and up next will be the Slick Sim Sport driver of Joel Berkeley. So the third driver out will be the man to beat more than likely in terms of lap time, as Joel Berkeley comes around the final corner to start his one shootout lap right down to the bottom of the racetrack to try and get a bit of grip down there. Plenty of grip, and using the bottom in 3 and 4 as well, slowing it right up and barely misses the tires. It's going to be a 12.322, so second place at the moment, so not actually the quickest time at all. But regardless, not a bad time from Joel Berkeley. Bob King will be out next for the fourth driver in the order. So see whether Bob can indeed topple Trent Gosley's time of a 12.183, or whether he have to settle for third or lower, possibly. We'll see what happens. But Bob King starting his lap now to run against the top side, like what Trent Gosley was on his lap through 1 and 2, coming through 3 and 4, running a more middle line like what Zach Fallon was. We'll see what the lap time is this time by. It's 12.228, so second place for Bob King in the order so far, with Bradley Oldfield out next for the fifth driver of the night so far in this shootout so far, and currently running a much higher line. Everybody using that high line to try and build a bit of momentum to start the lap. Running a midline in 1 and 2 is Bradley Oldfield, doing a pretty good job of it as well. Nice and smooth, not too aggressive. And then middle 3 and 4 as well. Will the lap time be faster? Will it not? 12.444. So not that quick in P4 at the moment, with David Heileman up next. The Heilemaniac is indeed on track, so we'll see what the American can do compared to his teammates and everybody else on track. Low through 1 and 2 to try and get a bit of drive off the corner with the way this track has been in terms of how slick it is, and also through bottom 3 and 4 as well. We'll see if it's going to be quick or not. It's a 12.053, so clearly the bottom does indeed have pace to offer, and Harry Stewart going to be the next driver out. So we'll see what Harry can possibly do for United Sim Sports with this recent change. And high on 1 and 2 showed plenty of pace in the last few rounds. So we'll see if he can possibly put himself up the order in this one, right up against the outside wall on the cushion in 3 and 4. 11.613, a huge advantage to Harry Stewart, who goes provisional pole for the time being. Ethan Bastian is the next car out in this shootout, so we'll see what Ethan can do in this run. Starts his lap high 1 and 2. It seems that everybody seems to be favoring the high side, but that bottom side really does have a lot of pace at the moment. High in 3 and 4 as well, hard up against that cushion on the outside. He comes across the line 12.078, so that is P3 for Ethan Bastian, and very, very rapid shootout and a very enjoyable session. So Harry Stewart is indeed going to be your poleman, followed by David Heileman in second on the front row. Row 2, Ethan Bastian and Trent Gosley. Before we go back to Bob King and then Joel Berkeley, Brayley Oldfield and Zach Fallon rounding out that top 10 shootout.
There we go. So, great shootout there. Saw some awesome laps there. Well done to Harry Stewart. Absolutely blinded it. Use the low line, which does work, but you need to be very careful on the throttle. A short little warm-up for these guys before they go out for their 40-lap feature. I'm certainly looking forward to this one, Cam.
Yes, certainly. This is going to be quite the feature, this one, especially with how short this track is and with how tight and how difficult this track is starting to become. The middle line has actually been quite fascinating to watch because it's still very, very fresh compared to the rest of the track, which has got a lot of rubber down and is very, very slick, especially that top side. So would not be surprised if there's possible incidents with drivers just hitting the wall and getting caught up in incidents, or possibly hitting the inside tires and spinning out. Like I've also just seen the car, I believe it was Damien Rasmussen, do in 3 and 4 just before. But you're going to be really, really exciting to see what happens in this A main and who comes away with where. That shootout has mixed that top 8 up a little bit, so it'll be quite fascinating to see who ends up where.
Yeah, you're exactly right, mate. I reckon Harry Stewart's going to be certainly one to watch. Great lap there in the shootout, and yeah, also good job from David Hellerman as well. Did pretty well in his heat racing. But anything can happen, especially on short track racing like this. No room for error. We saw plenty of guys there that were running their own race and had nowhere to go and collected someone else. So survival of the fittest, Cam.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially around this short quarter-mile circuit, which, like you said, seen number of incidents in the heats and also the consolation races with drivers tripping over each other and just getting caught up in minor incidents. So you're really going to be all about just making sure you don't make any mistakes and making sure you just keep your eyes forward and aiming to do and just keep the car clean, really, because you're not going to want to lose any points, especially for the likes of Tim Ryan and Joel Berkeley are really going to have to work on this.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Also, Tim Ryan as well. He's starting off P number 9. Watch out for him. He was very fast. He's always very fast in one of these cars.
Yeah, certainly is the man to be, is Tim Ryan. But nevertheless, your feature grid is on up and ready. The top 8 we saw sorted per the shootout before we go back to Tim Ryan in 9th. Jordan Charge will round out the top 10. Aston Hurley and Caden Brown in 11th and 12th. 13th and 14th, Mitchell G and James Rice. 15th and 16th will go to the Slick Sim Sports pairing of Ryan Harris and Josh Arm. Carl Hoffman's Callum Davison in 16th and 17th and 18th, followed by Brenton Hobson and Damien Rasmussen will round out your field.
Yes, there we go, Cam. What a fantastic field of drivers we've got there. Brendan Hobson was very unlucky in that consolation race. Was collected there, so he starts off P number 19. Just stay out of trouble. You generally find yourself getting back up there.
And of course, 40 laps around here tonight, so plenty of laps to gain any lost positions, especially for the likes of Damon Rasmussen and Brenton Thompson, or if you're the six-sim sport pairing of Ryan Harris and Josh or anyone down the order who's possibly got a few cars to pass to try and get up towards where you more or less want to be. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here, but nevertheless, really looking forward to it, and really looking forward to seeing who ends up coming out on top. Tim Ryan is the points leader at the moment, and Joel Berkeley is not far behind. So Joel will definitely be trying to narrow that gap margin that he's got to the car of Tim Ryan in the points, and really is going to spice things up. If Tim does have a bad night, or if Joel does, then Tim will really be relishing at it.
Yeah, you're certainly right. Taking any opportunities that he can, but we saw survival of the fittest.
Green flag is in the air, and we are underway here at Kokoma for 40 laps of racing. A very good start by Harry Stewart, but David Heilemann going to come straight at him into turns number 3 and 4. 3 wide through 3 and 4 as well. 4 wide just behind, between the whole top 10 or top 8 at least in that little pack, and it's really heating up. Joel Berkeley on the top side of the racetrack now, going to look to the middle side of the racetrack. Bob King losing a bit of momentum on the inside as well. There's still 3 wide through 1 and 2, and Heilemann's going to drive around the outside of his teammate Bob King, using that bottom side to his advantage over the car of Joel Berkeley, who's running that midline at the moment and doesn't quite seem to have a bit of pace and a bit of a check up, and everybody's involved.
There we go, yellow flag is out.
And that was the car of Zach Fallon by the looks of it. He ended up going over as well, and lucky for Tim Ryan and Joel Berkeley to get away with that, especially as well Josh Armu ended up just barely avoiding that, but a number of cars getting caught up in that, and it doesn't look like too many cars are damaged, but a few of them are, Trent Gosley being one of them. So few unfortunate casualties in that incident there, and Joel Berkeley has indeed lost his front wing, so one of the drivers to end up with damage, but nevertheless not been too bad of a start so far, and looking like it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be a great race, Cam. It's a long way to go. We're going to see the track get plenty slick, I reckon. One
Yes,
to green now. These guys will get into single file order. See who will get the jump off here, Cam. Who's your pick, mate?
Well, it's hard to pick, especially with the way this track has been forming. That middle line starting to take quite a lot of rubber now, so really is going to mix things up. But nevertheless, back to green flag racing, and a good jump by Harry Stewart again from the pole. But David Heilemann's going to go to the top side and try and drive underneath to get the run out of turn 2 on Harry Stewart. Bob King is there as well on the top side, and Bradley Oldfield running the bottom as well, getting in on this mix. So top 4 all line astern, but at the moment there's been a caution and someone is in the wall. I believe that is Aston Hurley in turns 1 and 2.
There we go. Not a good run there for Aston Hurley. He will be absolutely gutted. We'll get that on a replay. See if we can catch that.
Yeah, just looked like he sort of did it on his own. Might have got spooked a little bit by the car of Trent Gosley, who did come up just in normal, possibly a little bit of contact just instead of the front end of Aston Hurley's car, and unfortunately Aston ending up in the catch fence and getting stuck there. So his night, unfortunately, not off to the greatest start, but that was very, very close at the front, and did possibly wonder if David Heilemann was going to be able to get a move done there on Harry Stewart at some point, and Bob King getting in there as well. So it will be fascinating to see whether Bob King can indeed try and score a result here, or whether he's going to end up being left behind. We'll have to wait and see, but will be a single file restart this time by the looks of it, and pace car is in, so we're not far away from Going Racing. Everybody's going to close it up. Bradley Oldfield rounding out the top 3. But nevertheless, we are back to green flag racing. Good diamond down from Harry Stewart to get the jump on David Heileman. Bob King running that bottom side with Bradley Oldfield to try and get a bit of grip off the bottom end. Joel Berkeley still running that high side. No front wing as well. So that car is going to be an absolute mess in terms of turning the thing in. An absolute handful. But he's doing a fantastic job to hold the thing there around the outside of Bob King. Has fallen back a little bit from the car of Bradley Oldfield, and Joel Berkeley is going to go around the outside possibly of Bradley Oldfield here through turns 1 and 2. Is he going to get the job done? Not quite. Still a little bit of momentum on that bottom side to help Bradley Oldfield out, but a big slider in the background from Caden Brown on the car of Tim Ryan. Tim not having the best of nights so far, just seems to be struggling a little bit with pace at the moment. Managed to get around the outside of Jordan Chargers, running right on the bottom side of the racetrack. Not a lot of traction left down there, but at the moment, Joel Berkeley is still persisting with that outside. He's managed to finally get on by the car of Bradley Oldfield. Bob King not too far behind and looking to round out the car of Bradley Oldfield at some point. Caden Brown still holding off the car of Trent Gosley and Jordan Charge. Gosley going round the outside of Jordan Charge as well. So Jordan not really having that good of a run so far. Brenton Hobson already up a number of places from 19th on the grid up to 12th at the moment. So fantastic run from him, and Josh Harm up to 11th as well. So plenty going on, and currently Caden Brown really mixing it up with Trent Gosley now, who's really trying to get him a by.
There we go. Yep, Trent Gosley doing a fantastic job there. Sitting up in P number 7. Oh, there we go. Cars touching each other everywhere. We've got plenty of cars without a front wing on it, which will be near on impossible to turn them in. Very difficult to drive one of these things.
Certainly a bit of a handful, especially these 360s aren't so much of a handful as the 410s, but still are a bit of a challenge to drive. Tim Ryan has finally managed to round out the car of Bradley Oldfield. So Tim inside the top 5, finally. Well, the positions behind though, big scrap still going on between Caden Brown, Jordan Charge, Josh Harm, Trent Gosley, and also Ethan Bastian and Ryan Harrison. Everybody's going everywhere in car in the wall. That is indeed, I believe, the car of... quite sure who that was, but it was one of the lap cars that the leaders were trying to find a way past. It was Ryan Harris actually, so not a good run there for Ryan to end up in the wall, and he'll be a little bit disappointed with that. But Harris Stewart's still managing to keep that gap to David Heileman at the front of the field. Halfway through this race now, 20 laps to go out of 40, so very solid green flag run here for the field, and so far everybody really doing a great job. But this battle for 8th place between Brown, Charge, Gosley, Hobson, and even Bastian getting in there as well as Mitchell G, all really starting to heat up. They're all running that top side, trying to find a bit of speed and try to catch the pack ahead of them, but just can't quite get it done.
No, certainly can't. Very hard to get the power down there. Caden Brown driving with no front wing, so he's under a lot of pressure from Jordan Charge. Trent Gosley hanging in the background there as well. Nice 4-car battle. Brendan Hobson trying to make way. He's getting the rundown. Can he fire it underneath Gosley? He's going to go the middle line. Oh, a few cars coming together there.
Yeah, Gosley not having too good of a run at the moment. Trying the bottom side to see if he can make something work of it, but not quite going to get it done at the moment though. Battle is starting to heat up between Bob King, Tim Ryan, and also Joel Berkeley, all starting to close up on each other. Remember, Joel Berkeley doesn't actually have a front wing either, so having to tough it out with a bit of a misbehaving car at the moment, and not too ideal. But Tim Ryan really starting to put the pressure on Joel Berkeley with a much cleaner car. You just see it's so difficult running that top side. They're all trying to navigate traffic as well, so it's becoming such a difficult task to try and keep things clean and not end up in any trouble as well. These two are the top 2 in the points, are Joel Berkeley and Tim Ryan, and you can just see Tim trying to run the bottom side, but no grip down there. It's really slick and losing a lot of momentum as well. as I've seen also that David Heilemann is starting to close that gap up a little bit on Harry Stewart, who is still running right up against the fence now. And David Heilemann going down to the bottom side of the racetrack to throw a slide job on Harry Stewart, but Harry Stewart going to diamond it off and come back at him. And we've got a caution, and that is a car on its roof down the backstraight to Mitchell G.
There we go, unlucky there for Mitchell G. He was having a fantastic run there. Let's go back and have a look and see what happened in that accident. Big thanks to Moten Simulation for the sponsorship of their replay. You see Mitchell G come down here. What is going to happen?
Oh, it just looks like he's actually come up in front of Ryan Harris, who's had no real time to check him. He's just caught the right rear of Mitchell G, and unfortunately Mitchell's ended up and over, unfortunately. And actually Joel Berkeley hit his teammate there, Ryan Harris, as well. So really, really lucky to get away with that to both of the Slick Sim Sports drivers. But this is really going to mix things up, because this is going to help David Heilemann have that gap a little bit closer, and also going to help Tim Ryan really start to put some pressure back on to the car of Joel Berkeley. Is still missing that front wing and is really going to be struggling. Pace car is in this time by, so we'll see what happens with this top four. Been an exciting race so far and plenty of action going on. Green flag in the air, solid jump by Harry Stewart, and Joel Berkeley is going to be all over David Heilemann, his Slick Sim Sport teammate, but also Tim Ryan is going to be all over the back end of Joel Berkeley, and now Bradley Oldfield in a battle with Josh Harm, and also the car of Caden Brown running that top side. Those three scrapping it for positions just outside the top 5. P6 currently between Josh Harm and Bradley Oldfield. Oldfield just making that bottom side work a little bit better, but Heilemann putting a lot of pressure at the front of the field on the car of Harry Stewart is really making things work on the top side of the moment. Both drivers really wheeling it so hard. Heilemann going slightly lower, trying to find a bit of grip, but not quite able to get it done, and really, really trying to find a way past. The laps are closing down in this race, so they're going to start to come up towards lap traffic anytime soon, especially with the number of damaged cars in this race so far. But been a bit of an incident by the looks of it between the car of Jordan Charge and Caden Brown on the front straight, so Charge will have lost the position, actually gone inside the wall there, so fortunate for him. But 5 to go this time by, so the laps really are counting down thick and fast for the car of Harry Stewart and David Heilemann. And Stewart doing everything he possibly can to try and hold on to this race victory here, to try and get a solid result in this series. And Tim Ryan going side by side with Joel Berkeley, in contact between the two. They are absolutely going nothing in it between the two of them. There's just so much going on, they can't find a way past, and Bob King's right in on this as well. So three-way scrap for the final spot on the podium between Berkeley, King and Ryan, and Ryan's going to look to the bottom side of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, throw a slide job at Joel Berkeley to the top side, but Berkeley's going to diamond the corner off, get the run back at him, and it's turns 3 and 4. It's going to be white flag this time by for these two drivers for the final spot on the podium. Tim Ryan's going to throw us another slide job up the inside of Berkeley. Berkeley's going to diamond it back off and get the run, and Bob King's even going to get the run on Tim Ryan, but it will be David Heilemann who actually has managed to win the race across the line on Harry Stewart, and Joel Berkeley will indeed hold off the final spot on the podium, and Bob King will hold on to the spot from Tim Ryan to take 4th. So Tim Ryan going all the way down to 5th, and what a race for the final position in the podium, and also for the win. David Heilemann doing an unbelievable move on the final lap in turn 1 and 2 to pull an amazing slide job and time the traffic to perfection. So great race at the front, but what an unbelievable night of racing. Results on screen at the moment. David Heilemann, your race winner, followed by the car of Harry Stewart. And rounding out your podium, Joel Berkeley, Bob King 4th, and Tim Ryan rounding out the top 5. What an absolutely amazing night of racing.
Yep, certainly was, Cam. Fantastic racetrack in Kokoma, and plenty of action. Cars not really getting up to the speeds that they would see on a longer track, but yeah, plenty of great racing there, and the track certainly slicked off and was pretty difficult, and Tim Ryan couldn't quite make it work there at the end and fell short of getting a podium. Fantastic night.
It certainly is, and I do believe we do have our our second place finisher in the feature, Harry Stewart. It was so close to a victory, but come up short just on the final lap.
Yeah, I was a bit coming to the white flag. I saw the lap car in front of me get a bit loose. I got a bit worried. I went to the top and I saw Heileman throw a slider. I went underneath and just misjudged the wall actually and hit it, and yeah, and then Heileman got past. But yeah, it's still a pretty fun race. To lead 39 laps against those drivers is really cool.
Yeah, it certainly is. And obviously, with it being one of the more difficult tracks as well as also one of the more shorter ones, did you find traffic was really a major issue, or did you sort of be able to handle it quite well and keep David behind you?
It was a bit, it was a bit annoying when they sort of kept running the top, but they were racing as well, so I can't really do much. But yeah, it did play a pretty big factor, I guess. I sort of, yeah, I just misjudged it the last corner. So, but still a really cool race with the lap traffic and David.
Yeah, it certainly was. And with Charlotte up next for the next round of the series, are you looking forward to, and what are you possibly hoping to achieve?
Just pretty much hoping for top fives every week. I don't expect to win actually with everyone that's doing all the pro drivers, but yeah, top 5, top 10. Yeah, pretty good.
Well, there we have it. But before we let you go, any sponsors and any thanks you want to give?
Yep, just like to thank Brady and Bob for putting this on, you guys for streaming, everyone at United Sim Sports, Valvoline, Too Easy Finance, West End Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, and Ultimate Dirt TV, and everyone in the Discord helping out spotting in that. Cheers.
Well, there you have it, Fonty. Second place finisher for the feature. And we've got the race winner, David Heileman, the Heilemaniac. Well done, mate. Just threw the slider on the final lap and managed to get the one on the last lap of the race.
Yeah, that whole race was nuts. I was just kind of biding my time following Harry, and like our first stint through traffic was wild. And like I saw we were gonna get back to him there just at the end, and then the white kind of caught me off guard. But I was like, that lap car was a little squiggly, and I was like, oh, I'm shooting my shot here. Slider stuck pretty good. He was coming back at 3 and 4. I thought he was going to take the little grip lane that I was kind of utilizing there on a 4, but he went all the way up into the wall, and that just bit him, and I was able to get him to the nose at the line. But that was just a really fun race. Just shout out to him. Like, he drove a perfect race just about until then, and then all the lap cars, too. They were holding their lane all right, and it just made for a lot of fun.
Yeah, it certainly did. And one thing with that grip strip as well that you're talking about, did you expect the track to form in the way that it did, or did you expect it to be a little bit more different?
By the time the feature rolled around, it was about what I expected. It was just funny in warm up how me and Joel were like, yeah, we're gonna go for that bottom. We're gonna try to stick that. I felt I stuck it really good, and then Harry went out and just ripped the lip and killed everyone by about a half a second. So we're like, okay, well, we can't do that. But by the end of the feature, it seemed like, especially that first time we got the traffic, I was able to just kind of utilize and putt the middle, and it did not seem that far off from the top. But all in all, just a good track.
Yeah, it certainly was. Well, with the long, fast, and banked circuit of Charlotte up next, are you looking forward to it?
Oh, Charlotte. Charlotte's not one of my more favorite tracks, but yeah, we'll certainly be up to it.
Well, fair enough then. But before I let you go, just any thanks and any shout outs you want to give?
Yep, shout out to all guys back at Slick. I think there's 5 wins now out of the 6 weeks. And Wicked Energy Gum, Wicked Cushion, JDR Graphics, and Down Under Graphics. You guys at SimSpeed for putting it on, and all the Highland Maniacs out there watching.
Well, there you have it, Fonty, your feature race winner, and I believe you are standing by with the third place winner, third place finisher, Joel Berkeley.
Joel, how'd you go, mate? Did you enjoy your race up there?
I felt like a pinball, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you're certainly driving around there with no front wing on it. Would have made for a challenging race, that's for sure.
Yeah, look, I don't know how I managed to finish third. We're pretty bent there, and I was pretty confident coming into the race, just before the feature. I was like, oh, yeah, if we get through the first few laps clean, we'll roll forward and hopefully gain some solid points on Tim. But obviously, didn't go all to plan, but Tim stuffed me in the fence a little bit there, but I think we beat him by 2, so it'll be make the championship a bit more closer.
Yeah, certainly a great battle between you guys there. He was a bit unlucky at the end, where you were quite lucky, and he just run the low line, couldn't quite get the power down, and you managed to come through and get third. So well done to you. Anyone you want to shout out to tonight?
Yeah, look, it's a massive credit to everyone at Slick Sim Sport. We've had a pretty good season between everyone here this season. I think we've taken 5 of the 6 races so far. So it's a massive credit to everyone on the team. They put in massive work when we can, and sometimes we just show up and race, but it's just the work that we put in prior to be where we are. And yeah, it's awesome to show up and put the cars up front. Hopefully, we can get the job done on the points. I mean, we're only halfway through the season, but it'd still be nice to be in a points lead.
Yeah, you're certainly right. You guys are very fast and good at what you guys do on the dirt. And yeah, five wins out of the last 6 events. So keep up the good work, mate. And thanks for coming to join us in the comments box.
Cheers, thanks to you guys for broadcasting, and Brady and Bob for hosting, and everyone else behind the scenes that makes this happen.
No problem at all. Well, Cam, what do you reckon of the night, mate? What was your biggest highlight? And what do you reckon about next week?
Can't say much more about that feature. That was just the spectacle of the night. It's been one of the best races we've seen of the season so far. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what the next round at Charlotte puts on and who's going to end up coming away with that. Like I said, Joel said, really close in points at the top at the moment. So really going to be all about just maximizing points finishes and making sure no one comes away with a DNF.
Yeah, you're certainly right, mate. It's going to be a great round. Please do join us here on SimSpeed. We're pretty much live every day, different events. This is really our only dirt event at the moment, but plenty of circuit racing, plenty of oval stuff. So yes, please come back and do join us again.
Yeah, certainly would be good to have everybody back. But nevertheless, thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight, and also thanks to EAD Racing Rage for sponsoring the event, and also Oceanic Dirt Some Events for putting on such a fantastic series and such a fantastic night of racing. We'll be back here next week, same time, for the Motum Simulations Charlotte Showdown for the next round of the series, round 7. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.